No, I can't pull that off. Hey, this is BigPapaGrump from the Board of Doom, and this is my recap of the April 10th edition of Monday Night Raw. So we started out with John Cena's music hit, and you were kind of figuring it was going to be The Miz, and it was The Miz and Maurice came out dressed as John Cena and Nikki Bella. And then out comes Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose, I was a little surprised to see him go to Raw. On the other hand, I'm very happy he went to Raw because it kind of gives him a chance to reboot his momentum a little bit, because he had zero pretty much since he won the title on SmackDown. So the comedy shtick between him and The Miz was pretty funny, where you had he was acting as if he didn't realize that was not John Cena and Nikki Bella. Then The Miz kind of outed himself, and then he gave him a dirty deeds, which was pretty funny. The comedy shtick between him and The Miz was pretty funny, where you had he was acting as if he didn't realize that was not John Cena and Nikki Bella. Then The Miz kind of outed himself, and then he gave him a dirty deeds, which was pretty funny. Then he had the New Day called out the Revival. Still very happy the Revival's on Raw. Very happy to see that they got two relatively clean wins over... No, we're not going to do that. So then you had the New Day called out the Revival. So you had a match between those two. It was fun. It was good to see the Revival get two big wins right off the bat to establish themselves as the top guys to beat. New Day taking the loss is probably not going to hurt their momentum much, because the rumor is they're going to SmackDown anyway, so they'll just be able to start over. We'll find out tonight. Then you had the next big arrival, Curt Hawkins. Just going to let that sink in for a minute. They wasted television time with Curt Hawkins. The Big Show came out, punched him, and left. It was kind of funny. Didn't really need to see it. You had a backstage segment between Neville and TJ Perkins, where Neville was trying to get inside his head and turn him against Austin Aries. Austin Aries came out, and they were talking, and then the segment ended with TJ kind of just walking away. Then you had a match between Aries and Perkins. Perkins got the distraction win because Neville was up on commentary, and he started walking down the ramp, and Aries almost got counted out. Then he was jawing at Neville, and then TJ Perkins rolled him up, got the cheap pin. Then while Aries was jawing with Neville, Perkins came up behind him, sneak attacked him. So we're seeing a heel turn for TJ Perkins. I don't know if that's actually going to fix whatever is wrong with TJ Perkins' character right now, but hey, it's worth a shot. Then you had the segment where we found out the fate of Seth Rollins. He came out, cut a decent promo, basically called out Stephanie, so if you want to trade me, but you're going to have to drag me out kicking and screaming. Kurt Angle came out, told him that basically that was the one person that was protected so far in the show. We found out that Seth Rollins isn't going anywhere, at least not as of yet. They had Samoa Joe come out, ambush him, which kind of also goes to say that Samoa Joe's probably not going to go anywhere in the shakeup. Those two are going to feud for a while, hopefully. Those should be phenomenal matches. Then you had what I was kind of figuring was going to be a loser leave town match between Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax. The hot rumor has been Charlotte and Sasha to SmackDown. Junior pointed out to me towards the end of Raw that, hey, everybody we figure is going to be going to SmackDown has taken a loss. Charlotte being one that's probably going to SmackDown, taking the loss kind of makes sense for her. It also makes Nia Jax look strong as she goes after Bayley or whomever she ends up going after. They showed actually what I thought was a pretty cool little vignette on Finn Balor before his match with Jinder Mahal. He's another one that we figured was probably going to be protected because he just got back. So seeing him in action kind of looked like he was shaking off some ring rust because Jinder Mahal actually got some offense in. So, Then, of course, you had the big arrival on the Titantron of Bray Wyatt coming to Raw and calling out Finn Balor, which pretty much says that Balor's not going anywhere. Bray Wyatt did mention that his match with Randy Orton, the House of Horrors match, is still on. So you're probably going to see some superstars wrap up some feuds before they go exclusively to their brand's pay-per-views. So it was nice to see Bray Wyatt show up on Raw because he looked like he was getting some momentum on SmackDown, and then they took the belt off him at WrestleMania. So it kind of killed whatever momentum he had. Hopefully he left the remote to the projector on SmackDown, because I don't want to see any more of this hocus pocus with the video stuff from Bray Wyatt. Just let the guy wrestle. Let the guy talk on the mic. Let him be spooky. You don't have to add all this hocus pocus mumbo jumbo. There's no Sister Abigail around for him to call on anymore. So, rule number 26 of Monday Night Raw: if you would like to get a match on the show, interrupt Sami Zayn while he's talking to Kurt Angle. Once again, we had a segment where Angle and Zayn were backstage talking. Up comes The Miz. They jaw a bit. Boom. Match made. But it wasn't a bad match. I thought it was good. You know, Sami Zayn's always good. The Miz is always good. The fact that Sami Zayn got the win may fly in the face of our whole "if you're going to SmackDown, you're losing on Raw" thing, because I still think Sami Zayn's probably going to SmackDown. We'll find out whether or not I'm right in a few hours. On a quick side note, prior to the show, they had announced on the WWE.com that Apollo Crews was the first person going over to Raw. Kind of hard to get excited about anything Apollo Crews, because they've booked him terribly. I think he got brought up from NXT a little too soon, so he probably should have stayed down in NXT and maybe challenged for the title a couple of times and really established himself with the fans. Then you got to the Roman Reigns interview. Now, this was some compelling TV. Not a Roman Reigns hater, but basically Braun Strowman became the embodiment of the WWE Universe. It was a backstage interview segment with Michael Cole and Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman attacked forever. Strowman threw Reigns through a table, hit him off the walls a couple times, off the gate door things a bunch of times. Then they tried to load him into an ambulance. Braun Strowman's like, "Oh no, I'm not having any of that." And so then he beat him up in the ambulance. Then he overturned the ambulance. I spent the entire segment looking for hydraulics. But yeah, it was certainly got the fans going. I don't know what they're doing with Roman Reigns. One of the rumors was him going to SmackDown. I don't think that's actually going to happen now, because they're probably going to keep him in a feud with Strowman and maybe kind of put Reigns on the shelf for a little bit while they figure out what they're going to do with Strowman, if they're going to do Strowman versus Lesnar or whatever. But the fans really seem to enjoy watching Braun Strowman beat the ever-living stuffing out of Roman Reigns. Then you had the 8-man tag match between the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, then you had Sheamus and Cesaro, versus the Club, Gallows and Anderson, and the Shining Stars. They ate the pin on that one. It was entertaining. It was just a nice back and forth. You know, you had the delete chants going, you had the with Cesaro going, and it was fine for what it was. The Club were kind of protected because they didn't take the pinfall, and with the Shining Stars being rumored to go to SmackDown, it again made sense for them to eat the pin. Even if they're not going, it still made sense because they're essentially the jobbers of the tag team division. You also had, at the end of the match, the Hardys and Cesaro shaking hands, kind of celebrating together. So, okay, all right. So, yeah, we're all happy. We're going to have a good, clean... No. It's probably something ugly is probably going to happen between now and Payback. Then you had Sasha Banks come out, and she introduced Bayley. Sort of called her out, but friendly called her out. You thought there was going to be a heel turn there. I was kind of watching for it. Then you had Alexa Bliss come out and interrupt. Very stoked that she's on Raw. Finally, you have someone in the women's division who can use the microphone properly. Then she was interrupted by Mickie James, who's now also coming over to Raw. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of begs a question. Sasha and Charlotte, is it going to be Charlotte and possibly Emma? Going to be Sasha Banks and Dana Brooke? And then to see Nia Jax come out and pretty much just obliterate everybody, except Alexa Bliss, who kind of pulled an Emma. It was like, oh, no, all you. So that was... It was a fun segment. It was nice to hear the crowd pop for Alexa Bliss, because she definitely deserves it. She's carried that women's division over on SmackDown pretty much since she's been there. So then you had Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, United States Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. I was waiting for AJ Styles. The big rumor was AJ Styles was going to Raw and Roman Reigns was going to SmackDown. Looks like those plans were nixed. Happy about that, because I like Styles much better carrying the SmackDown brand, especially if they're doing a face turn with him, because now they lost Dean Ambrose, they lost John Cena. They don't have that big marketable face, although you never know who they're going to bring over. One of the rumors is Kevin Owens going over to SmackDown, so him, again, going out on a loss won't hurt him if he goes over because he'll show up with different momentum. All right, so to recap everybody who came over from SmackDown to Raw, you had Apollo Crews, you had The Miz and Maurice, you had Dean Ambrose come over bringing the Intercontinental Championship with him, Kurt Hawkins for no apparent reason, Bray Wyatt, excited about that one. Kalisto, I kind of glossed over that one. They just kind of out of nowhere just announced, and Kalisto's coming because he wasn't going to show up probably because I think he's still on the injured list. I don't know what status he is for being cleared. You also had Heath Slater and Rhino, so they announced those two when they said former tag champs. I'm like, it's either American Alpha or Rhino and Slater. You had Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, David Otunga is coming over to Raw to do commentary. Byron Saxton is going to SmackDown. So far, the only one that's definitely been announced that they're going to SmackDown is Byron Saxton. And we're getting Otunga. I miss Mauro Ranallo more and more every second. So I've been Big Papa Grump, and that has been the recap of the April 10th edition of Monday Night Raw. See you next time.